Hi everyone, Tony Tonkin here. Now, I was watching the Morrison's press conference this afternoon, and as always, I was depressed by his presser, and partly because the man has nothing to say, but when he says nothing, he says a lot of it. But on this occasion, though, the thing that interested me the most was that Peter van Onsolen, whatever his name is, Van Onsolen, decided to ask a question. Now, this man is, at the best of times, rude. He criticised Grace Tame for not looking happy when she was doing a photo op with Morrison on Australia Day, and got criticised for that. And on this occasion, though, he kind of thought he'd be a smart ass and make a comment about something that Gladys Berejiklian apparently had sent a message to another colleague, but about Morrison himself. Now, this appears also, because this became big news. So what he does is he picks on a topic that is probably not all that relevant, but he has this incredible knack of making it newsworthy. And so he makes someone else the story, but at the same time has this incredibly unique talent of making himself the story. Now, this story, though, has kind of backfired, and I'll go into why that's the case at the moment. But the story was that he was instigating, was that he said that Gladys Berejiklian had said that Morrison was a horrible person and who was untrustworthy. So Morrison today was confronted at the National Press Club by Network 10 political editor Van on I can never say his bloody name, it really annoys me, who had been leaked text messages between a current Liberal cabinet minister and Gladys. In one, she described you as horrible person, going on to say she did not trust you, and you are more concerned with politics than people. Now, I really appreciate him saying that, because it's no surprise to any of us who follow the news, and particularly Morrison. And it goes on to say, just below that bit, the minister is even more scathing, describing you as a fraud and a complete psycho. And does this exchange surprise you? And what does it tell us? Well, it tells us that Berejiklian was probably being very honest, and she was describing what she thinks of this man who was really keen to have her stand for a seat in New South Wales federally, so that he could benefit from any favourable voters, I guess, and that people liked her in New South Wales. They liked the way she handled COVID, I guess, to a point. And so there was a time when Morrison thought that it would be handy to have her on his team because it looked good. But what he didn't know clearly was that she didn't like him. Well, same goes for the most of Australia right at this particular point in time. But this was an opportunity for our mate Peter to make a statement that kind of becomes newsworthy. And it did, because here it is in The Guardian. It was also mentioned on the news. Bingo, buddy, you've done well. You've got your name up in lights again, not always for the right reasons, a la Grace Tame, but nevertheless, you've tried. And so, but has it been successful? Because what happens is, if you're projecting the very stuff that you think and feel about yourself, even though you're probably not prepared to admit it, then often it'll come back and bite you, because there will be people that will highlight that the very things you're saying about others are things which are true about you. So what we also have here is we have another item, which is so I'll show you this one, which also was in The Guardian, I think. And this goes on further to exemplify what a jerk he is. So Peter van Onsolen, so I could change Onsolen to another word, I guess, onslaught, dishonest maybe. Anyway, he's accused of humiliating and belittling colleagues in federal court claim against Network 10. So now this story is interesting because this also came out today. So Peter van Onsolen, the political editor of Network 10, undermined and humiliated the network's federal political reporter Tegan George, including by backgrounding other journalists against her, according to a statement of claim filed against the network in the federal court. George says she has been unable to work since June last year and claims she suffered hurt, humiliation and distress and the loss of opportunity to advance her career at the network, in part due to her treatment by Van Onsolen. Now, as you read this article, it becomes apparent that he's quite covert in the way he goes about his bullying. So he isn't outwardly saying nasty things, but he finds ways to say nasty things about people whom he doesn't like, particularly clearly at work, who probably are a threat to him. Number one, because they're women, and number two, because they're probably better at their job than he is. It's after George complained to new bosses about the lack of a clear chain of command and conflicting instruction under Van Onsolen's management of the Canberra Bureau, she was allegedly told by the network's executive Anthony Murdoch, Peter is a batshit crazy. The guy said, Peter is batshit crazy, but we just have to get used to it. Isn't that nice? So it's good to admit that the person that you're supporting is just a crazy individual. But, there again, isn't this so male? But we have to get used to it. Like we're not going to confront this issue. We're not going to do anything about it. We're not going to certainly support you because you're a woman. So why would we support you? And you're complaining about a guy that we think's batshit crazy. So what do we got to do about it? And that Van Onsolen expected George to apologise. Oh, God. So this bit here. So Van Onsolen expected George to apologise for hurting his feelings by raising the issue. So you can't... So it's... Okay, let me understand this. So ostensibly, it's okay for George to hurt other people's feelings and to ask Morrison stuff about stuff that Berejiklian might have said to somebody else about him. And it's okay to hurt Grace Tame's feelings by criticising her for the way she looked up at Morrison. But it's not okay to hurt his feelings, because his feelings, he's such a dear, isn't he? Because his feelings are just so important. Other people's feelings aren't, but his feelings are just, I don't know, I guess they're kind of precious, really. So the man, anyway, bottom line, I guess we could say the man has no empathy for anybody else, but a great deal of empathy for himself. George's statement of claims, seen by Guardian Australia, says 10 management told her the Canberra Bureau had always been toxic and she needed to learn to deal with it. How male is all of that? Remembering that these are two males, the boss and Van Onsolen, fighting back against a woman who's trying to make a complaint about the way that she's treated by Van Onsolen. And she's not getting anywhere, so hence the reason why she's taken this matter to court. The claim says Van Onsolen rejected George's complaint of being unsupported, disrespected and unwelcome. I have no doubt, given who this man is, that is her experience. And news management said the political editor did not give a shit about how she was feeling. Oh my God. What does this tell you about 10 Network? That they're going to support someone like Van Onsolen, but they're not going to support a woman who has complained because the man appears to be sexist. And there's another comment about her making a stand. So this is the other bit. George claims that when she and a female colleague raised concerns, that's this bit here, George claims that when she and a female colleague raised concerns about their workload and management, they were asked by the manager, not Van Onsolen, what did you even do today? It's like the husband who gets home from work and criticises the wife for sitting around and doing nothing because she doesn't appear to have done anything. Either she might have looked after the kids, she might have cleaned the house, she might have done a whole host of other stuff. Because he doesn't see any of that, he thinks to do it. So, painting your nails and drinking herbal tea. What does that tell us about these dudes? The federal political reporter claims the 10 network, where she was working for 11 years, breached her general protections under fair work laws by reducing her standing and reputation among her colleagues, subjecting her to speculation and gossip, causing her public embarrassment, which made her feel isolated and unsupported, in effect, failing to provide a safe workplace. A common story, but true. And here's this man who just had a go at the Prime Minister for doing the same sort of things that he does. Having a go at Grace Tame because she's a woman and because she's a position of power and authority. And so I guess one could argue that perhaps Peter wishes he was a woman and longs for having positions of power and authority, because there's no other reason why you'd put so much effort into trying to take women down as Peter does. I guess at the end of the day, the important thing to remember is that whenever we see anything that Peter talks about, we take it with a grain of salt. We realise he's just trying to stir the waters, but the man in reality has no substance whatsoever. Thanks for being with me, folks. Take care.